Okay, good morning, everyone. If you can hear me clearly, please type 1. Thank you very much, Michael, for the help. I'm going to just copy and paste it and take care of it in a break or for the next session. Merci. And another special thing for introducing those awesome environments, the generative AIs. I very much enjoyed them, and they already added to the menu. So whenever I want to ask any tough question, I ask Gemini, I ask ChatGPT, now Mistral, thanks to you, and the rest. Okay, to quickly go through the topics that we have, I see all the ones. Okay. You remember we talked about the origin of the C#. First, we started talking about computer, hardware, software, operating system utilities, languages, and where C# is and where the name has come from. We talked about it. Then I introduced some resources to you. I'm going to add a little bit more into the things that we have talked. So there are some the libraries, we went through them. I said there are some videos all in one. You can just enjoy from 4 hours, 20 some hours, 24 hours. There are different versions, advanced topics, and some other resources. I received some questions from some team members. They asked that, okay, Reza, what if we want to have more practices, more questions to work on? You see, there is another file that I have provided for you. If you click, you see that there are some websites for one of them. Let me just go to the last one, which is awesome. All of them are great. I just, as a sample, go just to one of them. You see there are all languages, including Python. So you can simply go to the languages that you want, and you just practice. If you have any question, please type it. And just to let you know, if there is any question that is deviated from the mindset that I have set for the class, I'm gonna leave it for after the class, not during the class. Then we talked about the overview. We actually talked about the course outline. Guys, I leave it to you. Please go through this yourself because we don't have time for going through all these contents. For instance, it says that Centennial College has all these parts. One of them, as you see, is the well, that's the reason that we need to be on time in the class. I'm just reviewing, and please listen. The thing is, here we have CETAS as the School of Engineering, Technology, and Applied Science. So whenever you hear that they say CETAS, then you can see it means our college. The other thing is, I'll go to the rest at your convenience. They are just repeating what we have already talked about, like tests, quizzes, labs, and so on. There are not that much differences between assignments and labs. And after that, you can see we have the very first PowerPoint that I have designed for today. Well, Narendra was kind enough to design. I modified it a little bit, added some more stuff. Today we are going to listen to something like 20 minutes of video combining with the practices that we are going to have together. So everybody, if you confirm that, please type 2 if you can see the presentation. Comp. Okay. Now the font size, is it good for everybody?
Yes, this is good, Professor. The other one on your laptop folder file,
Okay.
those are not readable.
And so the other thing is, thank you. The objective of what is programming? The problem-solving process and IPO charts, 3 columns and 2 columns. Does that make sense? So the first part that we are going to talk about, how many of you had a chance to read a book called Sapiens? If you have read it, please type 3. By any chance? Javier. Okay, so it talks about that we are all sapiens, and this is in our DNA to solve the problems. We are not saying that other species, they do not have that, but specifically sapiens, they are problem solvers. And well, that's a funny picture that you see, but generally in all the problems, not only computer problems, we do all these steps. We analyze the problem, and we plan for that, and we check before applying it. And then when we want to apply again, we check, is it going to give us the correct result or not? And then we are going to learn something and apply it for the next problem that we are gonna face. Okay, the first phase, analyze the problem, understand what is required. What does it mean, what is required? Is it talking about the input of the system or the output of the system? So please type in or out when we talk about understanding what is required. Michael, bravo. Sean. Well, listen to this again, please. It says what is required, what you expect to receive. So that should be output, But to get that out, for instance, I want to calculate the average of the students, right? The average of the test for the class test 1. And it is going to be what? It is going to be some numbers that I receive inputs, and I divide it by the number of total students that I have. It is going to calculate the average. So the average is the output, is what we required. And I identify the important components. So it's going to be the scores of the test for students. Determine the goal of solving the problem. So we want to have GPA. We want to have the average for the class, or for instance, GPA for the courses one students have. Identify the items needed to solve the problem. So this is talking about the inputs. You're going to receive them, and you're going to provide the result. There are some parts of the information that we do not want to involve them because they're not going to help us to have different or more accurate result. So we need to toss them away. Guys, Narendra is provided this. So funny. So how about that? Michael, can you please read it?
Justin Stroh has been working with quality cleaners
I
for
cannot
6
hear
years.
you. Okay.
Oh, you can't?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You were saying?
There, am I clear now?
Loud and
Okay.
clear.
Okay. Justin Trudeau has been working with quality cleaners for 6 years. Last year, he received a promotion with an increase of 3.5%, which brought his current weekly pay to $300. Justin is scheduled to receive another increase of 3% next week. He wants you to write a program that will display the amount of his new weekly pay.
Lovely. Michael, can you help me, please? We want to calculate the new weekly pay, right? Which part does not have anything to do with that calculations?
Everything that up to brought his currently weekly pay up to 300. We don't need none of that because it's all in the past.
Everything all the way to his current weekly pay.
Oh, well, no, actually, it's current pay 300. No, sorry, we need that 300. Sorry.
We need
So,
that 300, and then,
yeah.
so everything,
And then everything
is current.
yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's see, as I applied what Michael said, so you can see that from his current payment, that is 300, and the increment, which is 3%. Guys, can you guess how much it's going to be increased? Anybody's math? My math is
by dollar.
$9. Lovely. Thank you very much. So that would be the increment amount, and the new amount would be 300 plus 9. If everybody could relate to that, please type the first 5. Give me a high five. Yay. Merci. Okay. So how about this one? Can we solve the problem? This time, Goma, can you please read this for me?
Doug also works at Quality Cleaners. He earns $14 per hour. Last week, Doug worked 35 hours. He wants you to write a program that will display the amount of his net weekly pay.
So it talks about something general. Am I right? Yes or no? Means that weekly pay. It didn't say that last week how much he earned. It talks about weekly pay. Do we have enough knowledge to provide the result for such a question? Yes or no? Awesome. Alex, Joseph, Klena, Hassan, Eskim. Okay, lovely. So we got the point. In here, it says, if you see, we do not have enough info for such problem to say, okay, what is going to be the average? We could say what was the payment for last week, just multiplication of these two numbers, but we cannot say in general. Okay. So how about this one, guys? Can you help me to find out the answer for this? This time, Alex, would you please read this? Sean, you're going to be the next.
Andrea Horwath, who works at Quality Cleaners, needs a program that will display the cost of painting a room.
Lots of problems. It's like my dad is saying that go ask your internet if your uncle is at home. That kind of question, right? So we have lots of missing parameters. We don't know the price of the paint. We don't know if we are going to do it ourselves or we are going to hire somebody. The measurements, the amount of paint that we need for every square feet or square meter, which one you want to pick. So we don't have any of those information, and asking that, okay, write a program to estimate is mission impossible. Okie dokie. So how about that? Let's go to Justin Trudeau. Guys, I know that all of you are missing him. So let's go to Justin Trudeau, the cleaners one, and see what are the pillars that we can have as input, output, and the process. Look at this one. We say that his current weekly pay is something. The raise rate is something. We want to do the calculation here. and we expect to receive the new weekly pay. So we have the input part, we have the output part, and we need to have some processes to receive from input to output. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, if everything is fine, please type 1. Otherwise, type your question if it is relevant to this IPO, input process output chart. This is the very basic form of IPO charts that we call it 3-column IPO. And in that, we have some parts, if we go to the next, which are involved in IPO. Who can describe, please, to let everyone enjoy? I'm going to, please do not send any private message. I'm going to share because everybody is going to enjoy what you are going to discover. Please, everyone, search for algorithm. What algorithm is, you may ask. I'm gonna hide it. Apparently, people are shy too. So the first one, it refers to a step-by-step procedure of formula for solving a problem or completing a task. Lovely. Who else? Set of instructions. What else? Nice, Sean. Thank you, Goma. Eskim said, a procedure used for solving a problem or performing a computation. Do we consider the performing part as a part of algorithm? You know, that's a very nice point, and I appreciate that you brought it to the class so we can all think about it. We have a method, and we have the implementation of the method. So there are two different things. Which one we can consider as algorithm, which one we can consider as the implementation, right? They're not exactly the same thing. An algorithm is a step-by-step instructions, similar, yeah, a process to be followed in calculations, a process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations. Lovely, Michael. Farhina, set of rules. Excellent. So that is pretty much we all think. Let me just show you something before I continue. As you proceed, you can see that there is a note part. Maybe the setting of your computer is somehow like this, so you cannot see the note part. Very simple. You can just, drag this. I do it again. So you can just see the note part, right? And the very first two are from BBC, and they have kind of very much high restricted policy for copyright. The problem is if I start showing, then they're going to take the YouTube down. For that reason, I want you, everybody, and I'm gonna share that for everyone. The first one. Can you please confirm that you have received it? Awesome. I'm gonna mute myself, and whenever you are done finishing watching that, please type 3. So I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna wait till the time that you can finish watching it. Thank you. Okay, everyone. So just to see who paid very much attention during the video, she addressed one movie that used algorithm to break the code. What was that movie? What was the scientist who has broken the code? The name starts with Alan. Lovely. Sean, A+. Alan Turing. Alan Turing. Excellent. Lovely. And who knows about the movie? What was the movie name that talks about the Enigma code? Anybody has watched that? I'm not sure about the imitation game. Yes, Sean, it shows that you're very much into movies. Perfect. Good. Awesome. The Imitation Game, that's one of the motivational movies that you can watch and enjoy. And well, I was impressed by the movie. Anyway, getting to the next video, and that is something which is going to help us to understand deeper what are the differences. That is something that one of our friends talked about, and they said it is the steps of the problem statement, solving the problem statement, plus implementing. Please watch this video and tell me in which minute and in which place, is it Oxford University or is it in any other place, that the gentleman asked a girl saying that what are the differences between code and something. I want you to tell me the name of the place. This is the video. And please start. Okay, whenever you are done, please type 1. Muzna, can you please send to everyone every time I need to come back and set myself to everyone as well? Yeah, thank you. Guys, unless that you need to send something that are kind of confidential, please always use everyone. Yeah. Okay, the question that I asked you, maybe I was not very much clear. Thank you very much. You addressed the Oxford, but my question was, who talked about the difference between algorithms and the implementation of the code? And she was the one, and it was in one of the top, top places, top academic coding schools in London. But well done. The next video is, we are not going to watch everything. We just go through the first 2 minutes and 20 seconds. After that, please just pause. You can watch the rest at your convenience. But there is a point here. And the thing is, let me just double check if you can hear the voice. This shouldn't have any copyright. Can you hear the voice of the video? Yes.
No, I can't hear you.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to share that link. Please just the first 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Whenever you are done, please type 5. Okay. I'm talking especially to those friends that they didn't have any programming background. Those who started this course as their first experience in programming, please type 1. That's me too. Don't worry, comma. Okay. So those friends that they already typed 1, could you follow everything and understand everything that this gentleman said? Especially my concern is n is equal to 0. For every person that you can see in the photo, in the picture, just add 1 into the numbers. Is it super clear for everybody? Excellent. I remember one of our team members asked in the previous session that what is n plus plus? Do you see that here we say set n is equal to n plus 1? This is exactly like n plus plus. Okay, this is another way of implementing that in C#. There was a mechanism in old era that when a troop went to a fight, every soldier picked 1 stone from, that's in one of the places that I read. They picked 1 stone from a big plate, and when they returned, they throw that stone back to the plate, to that big pot. And then they calculated the numbers, they counted the pebbles, and they realized how many soldiers were passed away, were killed in the battle, and how many survived. So this is pretty much like that. We have 1 cup, and at the beginning there is nothing inside it. Imagine that I'm going to drop something, 1 stone in it. Now it has 1. Next time I see 1 person, I drop another stone. So this equal sign here doesn't mean equal. It means that whatever this is important for those who are new in programming like Reza. Guys, the right side talks about the old value inside the cup. Imagine now I have 5 stones inside the cup. So, and the left one is going to be a new version of that. So 5 plus 1, 6, and it's going to be inside a cup, a new value for the cup. So let's just see. What does n equal 0 stands for? I want to understand that. I'm going to, Michael said 0 is 0. It's like assigning a type, in this case, number or integer. Yes. Joseph, getting back to that old era's military example, right? Imagine now the soldiers are coming back home and they are going to drop the pebble into an empty pot, empty container, right? So at the beginning, what do we have inside that container? Nobody has dropped anything yet. It is 0. So the first person dropped. So whatever that thing is, let me just give me a second, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Can you please confirm that you can see the paint, Joseph? Yeah, you can see that. Okay, awesome. So imagine that we have a cup here, and at the beginning there is nothing inside it. So we could simply say n is equal to 0, right? Imagine that now I add something inside the the pot, then n would become what? N would become n plus 1. And this is the important part. This one, this n is the old one. What was it before that? It was 0 plus 1. It is going to make a new n, which is going to be 1. Joseph, is it 100% clear? Instead of saying that, we could have, this is another way of writing it. Please follow me, everybody. We could say whatever n is, please plus 1 into it. This is more professional way of saying that. So we say whatever n was, it's like laughing, please plus 1 into it. Okay, and the other way of saying it is going to be n plus plus. Okay, so everybody who could understand this 100% clearly, please type plus or plus plus. Alex, bravo, Sean, Joseph, excellent. Okay, Klena, I didn't see you confirm that. Do you have any question or concern? If yes, please open the mic and ask your question or concern. Klena, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sorry. It's because my heater just got on. Yes.
Okay, so did you get everything about that n is equal to n plus
Yeah.
1?
Yeah, it's simple math. It's just like advanced functions in calculus.
Okay, awesome, bravo. So let's go to the next part together. There are some other parts, but we are not gonna watch it. I'm going to tell you the way that algorithm works. If you just use some shapes for telling the steps, it turns algorithm to flowcharts. It's like a flow of what you want to happen. Let me just show you. Watch them at your convenience, but here if you see process map. If you see, it says, for instance, the beginning or the end would be a kind of oval, and then the flow would be with arrows. The activities that you could have, for instance, n is equal to n plus 1. It happens inside the rectangle. The diamond is for decisions. If the number is correct, do this. So you see that we have, for instance, this approach, this approach. If it is yes, go to the right side. If it is not, go down, something like that. So you can see many examples for such a thing, and you can simply search saying flowcharts for summing to numbers, that kind of things. So you can see it's a nice handwritten. So it says that the start input output is in parallelogram. So we receive A and B. The action happens inside what? The action happens inside a rectangle. We say sum is equal to A plus B. Then the output is going to be sum. Some others use different shapes for print and so on, but this is another way. For instance, you see, they are almost the same. So this is what we use as flowchart. The other thing is, please watch these at your convenience. I have provided that imitation game. That's, guys, this is not the whole movie. It's just a trailer. And this is what we are going to remind me if we have time. We are going to have fun activity, class activity together. So the algorithms for brewing coffee, cooking spaghetti, baking bread. My favorite is this one. make a smoothie, make popcorn, and so on and so forth. If somebody is more serious, I mean, than me, so use real algorithms to calculate sum or average of two numbers. I don't know why the person set integers here, floating numbers for the next. I have no clue. Please let me know about your opinions. But this is going to be the last thing for today. After having the plan, guys, after having, the inputs and outputs, for the processing part, we need to say what are the steps of our plan. So for instance, here we say enter the current weekly pay and the rate increase. Why? We want to see the current salary, the incremental rate, and then we multiply this to know that's $9 that you calculated for me. Do you remember, Justin Trudeau? 300, 3%, $9. So it's going to be the difference. Then you're going to calculate a new weekly pay by old plus difference. It's a kind of new one, and you display the new weekly pay, right? This is a kind of desk check. Technically, we don't use pen and paper very much. We use, for instance, Excel file to check that on a paper. And then we are gonna implement the code. And guys, this is the part that I have no clue. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, please. Read the left side first, 2 minutes. Go step by step. This is a 2-column IPO. This is what you are going to do for your assignment, right? And I'm gonna talk about the assignment alternative, everything, so don't worry. Please first spend time, read this part. Trust me, read the left side, apparently, and then and when you are done and understand everything, please type 2. Thank you, Michael. Mr. Cesar. Maria. Sean. Skin Joseph. Okay. Muzna, can you please read the left side for me? Adavale, if Muzna is not close to the mic, can you please read the left side for me?
Okay, Prof. Current weekly pay rate increase under the input.
So if I were in your shoes, I read it this way. The input part says we are going to have current weekly pay and rate increase as the inputs. The output says new weekly pay.
Okay.
The processing says we need to process the pay increase. But for that processing, we have this algorithm. Now please go to algorithm.
Okay. Yeah, under the algorithm, the first step is a prompt for current weekly pay. Second, accept the current weekly pay. Third step, prompt for the rate increase. Fourth step, accept the rate increase. Then fifth, calculate the pay increase by multiplying current weekly pay by rate increase. Then sixth step, calculate the new weekly pay by adding pay increase, and the current weekly pay. The seventh step is display new weekly pay.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now, M. Babar, if you can hear me, now please tell me what are the relationships that we can find between input here on the left side and input here? And explain it, please, thoroughly. Okay. Hassan, can you please explain that?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Yeah.
All right, sorry, what was the question? One more time.
Well, you see that here we have C# statements on the right side. Can you please relate every part and say what is the meaning of each of these elements, like why we have something called double? I can't understand that.
Hmm. Is it because we're trying to increase the pay, the weekly pay?
I don't know. I want now have any possible guess, and later we are going to correct it. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So apparently we know that we have some inputs. You see that the current weekly pay in the rate increase, and we expect to have output, right?
Yes.
And then here is the processing that we are gonna say pay increase, but that's part of the, anyway. Look at this. At the beginning, I'm going to ask, how much money do you make every week, for instance? And you're gonna say 1,000, for example. So I ask, enter the current pay, and you're going to enter what? Tell me. 1,000, right? Guys, is it clear for everybody? I received that question in the previous session. Reza, why saying it this way to computer for one of the parts? Imagine that we are talking to some people that they have come from Mars. The way that we can communicate with them is different from our daily communications. If you want to say, hey, how much money do you make? You have to say console.writeLine. What is console, by the way? Anybody can tell what are consoles in computers? Anybody can tell?
Like a command sender that you can tell the computer what to do.
Console. I don't know, actually. I'm trying to learn. So now it is our turn to search Google, ChatGPT. This part is not forbidden. So ask our friends, what are consoles? Muhammad said what are the places that we can enter the things, writing. Okay, be more specific about Kevin. Made for interface between, lovely. That's the shortest, nicest, Kevin. Bravo. Round of applause for you. As Kevin said, it's a kind of ports, gates that we can communicate with computer. It could be input or output. Does that make sense, everybody? Whenever you want to tell something, how do you say something to computer? Forget about microphone. What is the standard input for computers? What are the standard inputs for computers?
Commands or mouse and keyboard.
Yes, mouse and keywords, right? So that is why you say, hey, dear console.writeLine, and tell me what is the standard output for computer? Tell me.
Monitor?
Lovely, monitor. Exactly. So these are the it could be printer as well, but I'm saying that the default input is for reading from the user is keyboard. Please don't hide this. Yes, keyboard. And the standard output that we can see the things is going to be monitor. So whenever we say console.writeLine means that, hey, please pick the appropriate console, which is monitor, and write on it, enter the current pay. Does that make sense? So write on the monitor for me, enter the current pay, and there is no other way. In some other languages, it is very simple. You just say print something, and it's going to print for you. Here you have to say, go to the library console, then go to the WriteLine method and do this for me. Okay. The other thing, I told you the input console is keyboard. Do you see that console.readLine to receive things from user? Guys, don't worry. We have to start from somewhere. You might think that, oh, I cannot grab anything out of it. We are going to repeat this 100,000 times. Okay? But we have to start from somewhere. Do you see console.readLine? We say, hey, read that input from me. Get that value from me. Goma, can you understand that part when I say that I need to enter something to computer? Lovely. So what is the default value that we can use in keyboards? Guys, is it just numbers or letters, or it could be anything?
Both. It could be anything.
It could be anything. Let me ask you, when you're talking about, as Kevin said, alphanumeric, when we have everything as possibilities, for salary, can we enter anything? Please tell me. Is it acceptable to enter anything?
No, just numbers.
Just numbers. Lovely. So in that case, you are going to say, hey, I know that it is possible to type anything, but please convert it for me to double. And what is double, you may ask? Double is a type of number that has decimal point for it. The same for increase. You're not going to say the increase could be just integer numbers, or it could be, for instance, 3%, 5%, or 5.5%. You know what I'm saying? So it could be the same for the price of the things that you can buy. It's not exactly $1, $2, and so on. It could be 1.35. Does that make sense? So they are double. They're not integers necessarily. But for age, we use integers. You cannot say, I am 20.2 years old. You are either 20 years old or 21 years old. Does it make sense? For some of the stuff we use. You can't say that I bought 10.3 pens. No, you bought 10 pens or 11 pens. Does it make sense? So Michael was kind enough to share W3 schools. Thank you very much. Excellent. Yes. We are going to talk about this next week. We just want to talk about it a little bit, but next week would be about data types. Okay. So let's quickly see. We said we want to have these inputs. This is the output. This is the kind of middle process variable that we are going to use. Variable. Any of these guys that you see here, they are variables, because, for instance, you can enter $300 as the salary. You can say $500, so on and so forth. They are not fixed values, so they're variables. This is what I print on the monitor. So I say console.writeLine here. I get the value. I convert it to double because the default is string. For keyboard, the default is a string. I convert it to double and place it into current weekly pay, and then ask for the increase. Imagine that 3%, I receive it from the user. I multiply 300, 1,000, whatever, to the rate increase, which is 3%, 5%, whatever. And I'm going to add that, I'm going to place that value inside pay increase. I calculate $9, but what would be the new weekly pay? It is going to be the current weekly pay and the $9, the increments. And I'm going to write down, here is the new payment, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? Okay, Goma, we are gonna answer all these questions. I have provided one example for you. Don't worry. I just wanted to get some ideas, like what is double, and let's just go to what Michael was kind enough to share with us. I'm going to bring you here. Look at this, guys. Do you see that it says data types like int, float, long, double, boolean, character, and string, right? And look at the size. Let me ask you something. If you want to pick a container for yourself to serve yourself rice, you're not gonna bring a big tray. You're gonna have a kind of mid-sized plate. Does that make sense, everybody? But what if you want to bring Goma? What if you want to bring rice, a pala, to your neighbors? You're going to bring a tray, right? You're not going to bring one plate for a ceremony. Does that make sense? Look at the size. Integer has 4 bytes. Float has 4 bytes, but double is for big numbers. So we have 8 bytes. So technically, when you say that int something or float something or double something, the way that we had in our example, you say which size of plate container you're going to have. Goma, could you relate to that for now? Okay, whenever you go to Tim Horton, you say, for instance, I wanna have double, and they ask immediately which size, medium, small, right? Large or extra large, that kind of thing. Okay, let's go to this one, step 5. This is the desk check. I told you we mostly use what? Something like Excel. And all the time, this is something that happens. When you deploy a code, there is a chance that you have something that you have made mistake, you're going to fix it, or they're going to ask something extra. Guys, what is your, I want you to type down something. Imagine that you calculate the current salary for Justin Trudeau, Doug Ford, anyone. What could be the improvement for that program? Imagine that we just calculate the net, the salary before tax. So what could be the next step, you think? Lovely. Sean, your suggestion is for the parliament, not for the computer program. Salary after tax. Lovely. Excellent. Does that make sense, everybody? So this is what happens. And you might say, Reza, why you said, for instance, current weekly C is small, but W is capital, P is capital, huh? Why it is like that? So let's go to the standards that we have for naming. One of them is a snake case. That's my favorite. So you're going to, if we have first name, it's going to be first underscore name, that kind of thing. Or you use that for, you use camel case, the way that you saw, first F is small, name N is capital. And Pascal case is mostly used for methods, like get item, set item. What are methods and functions? I have no clue. We are gonna learn that later. And here's the summary. Please just read the summary in 30 seconds. And if everything is fine and you can understand everything, redundant. Okay. If everything is clear, give me high five, type 5. If there is any question, please type a question. And by saying that, merci everyone. By saying that, we already, did I change anything? That's the scariest thing. Anyway, I'm gonna say don't save. And we are going to be ready for the next phase. They are gonna be very much repetitive, so don't worry, but now it is 10:47. How about having 5 minutes water break? Okay, so I'm gonna mute myself and we're gonna come back in 5 minutes at 11:53, so 6 minutes now. So how's everything, Joseph?
Everything's good. Just, one day at a time. Busy life.
Tell me about it.
But, thank God for 2025, a new year, new start.
True. New resolution.
Yeah, of course. This is my new resolution. Try, get out of my comfort zone, get to learn something new.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
No worries. So everybody, if you can hear me clearly, please type 1. It's 10:53. Merci. Toby. Okay. This part I'm gonna quickly go through. You almost know everything about it. So let's just say COMP100, 3-column. It's gonna be input, process, output. First thing is you're going to understand the problem. You're gonna define the steps for it. And then these are analyzing the problem, plan the algorithm, desk check the algorithm, then write the code, desk check the program and implement it, see if everything works fine, and then go ahead. Okay, what are the programming stage? We already know what is required. We have done a sample calculations. We are ready to start the programming part, and we have developed an algorithm for the program. Do you remember the gentleman who went to that academia, the coding school, and asked what are the differences between algorithm and coding, and said that algorithms are the steps, and here is what we implement. I heard about algorithm. I know it thanks to your definitions. McKevon had one of the best definitions. I know about coding. I saw a sample C# code a few seconds ago. You were kind to explain it to me. But I have heard something that they call it pseudocode. And I have no clue what pseudocode is. So guys, this is the time that you can ask our friend, and I want you to bring the friends, whoever your friend is, and give credit to your friend. If it is ChatGPT, type ChatGPT or GPT told me, then the rest. What is pseudocode? And there is a P behind it. It is not P pseudocode, it is pseudocode. P is silent. Alex at ChatGPT says pseudocode is a simplified, informal way of describing a program. Lovely. Gemini said it's the simplified way of describing the logic. According to pseudocode is an informal way. Goma said, okay, guys, can you please read Goma's first few words and guess what is the source? Don't look at the end of it. Okay, you see that whenever, or Klena said pseudocode is a simplified human. After a while, you see the code and you can guess. That is kind of fun for profs, for instructors, that we try to guess what was the source of generating that code. And it is not that hard. Okay, awesome. So technically, if I can bring, where is the guy? Oh, here it is. Imagine that I want to write a pseudocode for getting two numbers and sum them together. I repeat my question. Everybody, would you please try to write an algorithm to get two numbers from user and then add them together. Okay. I wrote it in a very friendly way. Guys, I feel bad the way that you very professionally wrote the, oh boy, I need to go and get some coding lessons. Excellent. Can you please say if you relate to this one, we should ask, please enter your first number, and then we get that number. We ask for the second number to be entered, then we get that number too. Then we add them together. Finally, we display the sum. Done. Okay. This is kind of defining step by step, but right now, on the other side, I want you to help me, please, write something like pseudocode. How can I do that? Wow, Kevin, you brought it to another level. Great. Okay, awesome. Sean, bravo. Guys, this is really what matters. Eskim, excellent, lovely. Okay, so Eskim, for the next attempt, for every number, write separate. If you say prompt the user for two numbers, that is absolutely fine. But let's just break it down for computer. Then that poor guy can understand what we are saying, right? Okay. So what is this one? Please enter the first number. So very simple. I'm gonna say print that kind of thing. And then we say input. I want to write pseudocode, but it turned to be Python. Anyway, input that number and place it into what? num01, for instance. And we do the same thing. Please enter the second number. And we get it. Or let's say, instead of that, input num1, and then say input num2. And okay, can anybody tell what is this standard? My sum, is it the snake case? Or what? Excellent. Shows that how you listen to everything. Great job. So my sum is, guys, find my mistake. I always make mistake in this. It says plus num and then print my sum. Okay, I'm done. So Michael, awesome. Guys, my code should be fine. True or false? Maria, bravo, you got it. And excellent. So now it should work. True, true. What is wrong again? Oh boy. Yes, it should be my sum. Exactly. And imagine at the beginning, I'm gonna make lots of these mistakes. Worry not, that's how I'm gonna learn. Okay? And there is no shortcut, at least I'm not aware of that. There is no pill that we can take and say that done, be a developer. It never happens. The more that you make mistakes, it shows that the more lessons that you're learning. So don't worry about any mistake. And Goma, is it a little bit clearer now? Okay, but
Question, Reza, I wanted to ask is, sorry to interrupt, is print, can that all be replaced with console.writeline?
I don't know. Actually, I need to learn a little bit of C#. This is pseudocode. All right. This is pseudocode. If
Okay.
you give that pseudocode to somebody and say that, hey, convert it to C#, that person is able to do that.
Okay.
If you say that, okay, Java, Python, anything, pseudocode is pretty close to languages, but it's not language specific. Could I tell you? Guys, pseudocode is pretty close to any languages in computers, but it's not language specific. So we don't follow the rules. For instance, you see, I didn't use semicolon at the end of the line. This is something like must in all the things in. Okay. By saying that, we got used to this. I'm not gonna take the time for repeating all these things. Then we are gonna get to, where is the, give me a second, sorry. And I want to tell, this is not just something that I told you, Goma. Do you see this file? This F2 here. And if I open it, this is exactly implementing what we did in C#. So this is the algorithm. This is the problem statement. This is the algorithm. I should say that. So problem statement. This is the algorithm. Guys, in next version, you're going to have these lines too. It's like Apple 15, Apple 14 kind of difference. So you're going to have these equal signs in the next version. Yay. So download the next zip file. Here is the problem statement. Here is the algorithm part. And here is the implementation. Okay, we are gonna get to that, but before getting there, everybody please open number 2. You're gonna quickly go through that. Everybody please open that. Give me a second, I need to take care of the curtain. Okay. The thing is, in 2-column format, we use the actual code in C#. Don't worry about these words. We already know a little bit what are consoles, the standard input-output devices that we have. For writing, guys, are we going to write on keyboard or on monitor? Please type. Are we going to write on monitor or keyboard? So the write, I want that person alive who said that we are going to write on keyboard. Guys, we are going to write and display on monitor. We use, right? Okay, don't worry. How we are gonna input the data from monitor? Well, you might say that touch screen monitors, forget about that. Imagine that old-fashioned monitors. We use keyboards for entering. So read line is going to read from the user using keyboards. Does that make sense? Everybody could relate to that. So here, if you see that we say console.write, it is going to display on monitor whatever you want to display. You say console.write or write line. What is the difference between write and write line? I don't know. We are going to test it together. We are going to learn it together. Does that make sense? Let's go to the next part. It says that we will also copy the code into our IDE. What is IDE? By any chance, Kevin, you remember? Anybody remembers that IDE?
Interactive development environment.
Excellent. Integrated development environments. Okay, so let's go to the, guys, this is 100 times, as Michael said, we have repeated. And this is Justin Trudeau's program. And now I want everybody, please spend 1 minute, read all the parts that we have here. Whenever you are done, please type 2. Jules, is it clear? Adevale, is it clear? Could everybody relate to that? Okay. And now we are going to move to implement all these parts step by step. The next step would be saying that input, output, processing, and algorithms. Guys, listen to me. Whenever you use //, we made comments. What does it mean to have comments? Viduram, I'm going to answer that in a minute. What does it mean we have comments? Lovely. Guys, whenever you contribute, we are going to learn. So Mohammed said part of the answer, Adewale completed. Pooja added more into it. Michael as well. Okay. Guys, whenever you want to have clarification, Sean, whenever we want to have clarification, we use comments. Does that make sense? Okay. That is one part of using clarification. To say what you have done, what you haven't done, for example. The other thing is there are parts of code that you want to complete it later, to be completed later. You are going to comment that part and say that this is going to be completed later. So you expect something to be done later as well. Does that make sense? And the third reason that you use comment would be whenever you have an error in one part of the code and you want to take care of it later, it's not gonna pause you from completing the rest of the code. You're gonna comment that part. Does that make sense? So let me summarize it. As you see here, I want to start receiving the input variables, input values. I say / input. That's the comment. It tells me, Goma, that we are going to have inputs here. Does that make sense, Goma? Here I say we are going to have output variables, and it's going to be there. So explaining what the code does is one part. The other thing is you're going to say / the method for calculating tax is going to be completed later. Means that you haven't done that part yet. So you're going to take care of it later. That's another thing. And the third part is you have an error, a mistake, an exception in part of the code. All of them are used for one concept. When the code doesn't do the things that you expect, whether break the code or giving you the answer that you do not want, we call them error, exception, anything. You are going to comment that part of the code to take care of them later. So please write down for yourself the 3 reasons that you are going to use comments. Viduran, I answer your question. Yes, it is possible to combine 6 and 7. To remember what you have done, to advise other coders, that's great. Yeah. Michael Goody, not Niyame. I
Yes,
want
sir.
to get your wise comment on
Oh.
what I'm going to share. Wow. Maria, I want to get your pamphlet at the end of the semester, honestly. Wow. Amazing job, guys. Awesome. Top-notch class. I very much like the way that you participate, the way that you engage yourself into discussions, and we all learn from each other. Honestly, I learned a lot last session from many of you by the comments, by the suggestions that you had. And if you don't mind, after finishing today's class, I just want to ask a few people that they want to stay, especially those that they had background in coding. I just invite you to stay for 5-10 minutes. I want your suggestions because I don't want the class to be super fast for those that they started. Like Reza, I'm new in coding, but I know that people like Michael, they are experts like Toby and many others. So we need to find something that we keep those experts engaged as well. So the session is about that. So having 10 minutes to define something fun, joyful, and interesting at the same time. So my question for Michael and anybody who has, thank you very much, Michael. Whoever has done any coding, can you please confirm that when the number of lines go beyond 100, it's not easy to look at it at one glance and understand what you have done, even if it is a code that you have written just 1 month ago. Do you confirm that, or that is just my problem, that when I look at the code that I have written just a month ago, it's like somebody has written that code and I start making fun of my own code and then I realize, oh, this is the one that I've written just a month ago. So you can see lots of pitfalls or something you cannot understand. And this is not very far from the truth that many a time writing the program from the scratch would be easier than understanding somebody else's code and try to fix it. You know what I'm saying? So what is the solution? And this is a challenge, and this is a real challenge, guys. We are all, you will be in rush when you get to any company. They just give you tasks and say that, hurry, hurry, we have that kind of deadline, you have to. And who has any time to type, okay, this is the variable that I have chosen to take the salary from the user. Hey, come on. I don't have time to write that. So what is your suggestion? Yeah, Michael, please share.
Okay, so as a coder, after you play with it a bit, you become a bit of an artist, if you will. Your code you develop a certain style, the way you code things, it'll flow a certain manner, and it'll bleed into everything that you write. Everybody that I know that I interact with, we all have different coding styles, some are other languages and that. But a lot of the times when you read it, now I've worked with a lot of these guys for a long time. So when you read the code, you actually kind of get to have a sense of who it came from and such. And we've all been doing it long enough that, we don't just have runoff lines. We don't cram everything all together. So it's like you're not looking at spaghetti code, right? Like a big bowl of noodles and sauce, and you're like, what is this, right? So like as you'll develop a style, and it'll just be a lot easier to read. Comments are there for non-coders, in my opinion. I got guys who are older than me, and if I put something in, like even a simple JS doc at the top of my function, just so I can get the types because I'm not in TypeScript or whatever, right? And they'll razz me for that. They're like, "What? You can't read your own code? You don't know what the hell you're doing? We can tell what you're doing." And it's like, yeah, but everybody bitches because there's no comments. So, but yeah, style is a big thing. Lay your code out nice.
Bravo. Thank you very much for sharing, Michael. I enjoyed as always. And I see that there are lots of nice people that they want to step in, I guess. Alex, do you have any comments to share with us?
No, not really. Just as a beginner, I think comments would be very useful for me, just so I know where I'm at my studies. If I learn something new, I can go back on my comments, see if that maybe change how I look at the code, how I can proceed into it, maybe upgrade it. Yeah, that's basically all I have to add.
Excellent, lovely. Kevin, can you please share? I think that you wanted to share something. That's how I could see from your eyes.
I don't necessarily disagree with Michael there, but my thing on it is that it depends on what you're developing. It depends on what you're actually writing, how many parts there are to the code that you're writing. If you have a giant app that you're developing and there's different parts linking things together, yes, you have a style and you have clarity to your style, but sometimes there is a line that's meant to do a specific task. And then you have to go back to your code to find that specific line. And if you can't find that specific line, now you're either running the entire code to find that line, or you're reading your entire code to find that line. One comment can simply give you that spacing to jump back to where you were. I don't know if it works in every IDE, but in Visual Studio, when you comment, it closes everything down under that comment. So each section now becomes part of the, you can section it off, and then you go back, you read it and you're like, okay, this is what was here, this is what was here. And then you can just, shrink and expand depending on what it is. So it's just more ease of use. So even if you do know your style and know what you need to, and know where everything is, it's a lot quicker when there's a comment for you to be like a visual cue right back here. So yes, styling helps. Good practices help. But the commenting I found for myself made it quicker to correct or go back to a place when something went wrong later on down in the code.
Very much thank you, Kevin. And look at this one. Guys, you see that we have some different opinions. And the true thing is that that is my opinion. There is no absolute right or wrong in coding. I had one colleague who said that it is going to be either my way or highway. So I'm not going to accept anything if anyone. I remember that person deducted mark from students because people use console.read key at the end of the code. So that is absolute wrong. And I was like, hey, this is the Microsoft tutorial. They used console.read key at the end of the code. Oh, no, we shouldn't use that. So I think that after a while, when you know how to code, you're going to get your own style. Whether you want it or not, you're going to have your own definition of how you're going to write the code. And actually, you look at the code and you can kind of understand what personality that person has. You might laugh at me, but if the code is very easy to follow, fully commented, you can understand that that's a kind of nice, neat person who organized everything. And even with the place of the curly braces, you can get some of this stuff. And there is one thing I want to tell you, and I want to ask you guys, A and B. Please read these two paragraphs. A and B. Which one is human? Which one is ChatGPT?
I think B is ChatGPT.
Who said that?
Alex.
Alex, bravo. Okay, how many of you say A is, okay, the ChatGPT, please type A or B, your choice. Just ChatGPT one.
Feel really horrible if the better one B is ChatGPT.
Yeah, well, why you say that? Because guys, you have used ChatGPT to write email for you, and always it says that I truly appreciate. Hey, come on, instead of truly, say something else, right? Whenever I see that, I say, okay, this is another ChatGPT email. So, and what I do when I receive emails, lengthy emails from students, I ask, okay, dear ChatGPT, you have the one who wrote that email, so please summarize it, the gist of the message. Lengthy email is going to be just 2-3 items, bullet point, right? Yeah, the points that I have here is exactly like that you can easily distinguish between human and ChatGPT code. I wanted one in one class. I was younger. I wanted to prove to students that, hey, it's easy. I gave them assignments to have cats and dogs, and everybody used similar names for cats and dogs. And then I made another sample in the class, and I was walking around checking everybody and said that, okay, pick the name of dogs, cats. Nobody used any of those names. And I asked ChatGPT, and I look at those people into their eyes saying that, guys, you chose names differently from the submission. So it is obvious that you cannot all use the same blocky, for instance, blacky or something for the name of dogs. Obvious, at least change the names. What I want to tell you is, guys, after a while, just profs, they lose their interest to tell you that this is important to write it yourself. They understand that which one is ChatGPT, which one is not, right? If we are here to learn together, that's the whole opinion. You have seen that I encouraged you in many places to use ChatGPT to get some ideas, to learn some definitions, but for writing the code, please don't. And if you are new, especially if you are new like Reza, this is 100% forbidden for any assignment. Getting back to the comment, I want to tell you something that you might forget everything about Reza's class, but if you want to remember one thing, please remember this, that I'm going to share with you. For one of the degrees that I got, I needed to write huge lines of codes, like 4,000. And I needed to do the simulation. Michael, for sure, you know MATLAB, Matrix Laboratory Language. That's kind of to-go language for all the engineers. They use for publications and so on, similar to R, but that's the kind of under the license for academia. Anyway, what I did, I had 60 some versions of the code. I remember, I can just bring that to you later and show you exactly. What I did was this, I'm explaining. I wrote the first few versions, like 5, then I recorded my code. I said, okay, hello, Reza, this is the code that you have written for this purpose. The first variable that I have used is the number of iterations that we have in cloud computing and the power supply that we might have. Here, I'm going to add one at a time resources to the grid, so on and so forth, right? So I explained everything. It was like something like 30 minutes. And after a while, 5 versions later, I just had some major changes. I explained that, okay, Reza, listen to voice version 5. And these are the things that I have changed compared to the previous major version. Does that make sense? And it took something like 5 minutes. So every 10, 15 versions that I wrote, I started recording a 30-minute explanation. And every 5 versions, I had just the differences that I had with the major version. I explained that. And guess what? I sent that publication, I sent that article to a journal. It was like, it took 18 months. I'm not joking. It took 18 months to get approved. And my prof was disappointed. It was a cloud computing journal, said that one person is against you and doesn't want to publish that. So forget it, go and apply for somewhere else. Finally, they did. And I remember that they said, okay, change these variables. And after 14 months, 15 months, I wanted to get back to a code that 4,000 lines, I couldn't even remember anything. And I just listened to half an hour, and it was like freshing your ideas. Long story short, guys, if you have a project and you don't have to comment, my suggestion, use your phone, Telegram, WhatsApp, record the code for yourself. Explain it to yourself, record it somewhere, and save it later. It's going to be like this to remember, recap. Getting back to what we had here. Okay, somebody, a brave person who can be braver than Goma. Goma, explain all these lines for me, please. Reza, why me?
Is it on the left or right?
Well, the left is the algorithm, the right one, please.
So on the right, we will put the command for C chart. Input will put the current weekly pay and the rate increase. Output will be the new weekly pay. Then we'll put the processing double pay increase. Double, this is just the C chart, I would say formula or something.
Okay, what are the differences between this side and this one? Can you please explain that?
On the right side, we put the backslash to refer that there is a command that we want to do. The left one, I will say this is just the regular tickets for myself to see what step I will follow when I do the code.
Excellent. Pooja, open your mic.
Yes, Professor.
What is that comment?
What is the?
You have written something. What is the comment?
Oh, it was regarding the previous A and B section you were showing. You asked which one is ChatGPT, right? So the other person said ChatGPT likes to be formal. So that's why I said, I'm like, yes, English classes are there to be more formal. We learn things how to make a paragraph more formal, add extra words when especially writing an essay and things.
Okay. So what it has to do with the question that I had?
Which question? Sorry.
So you didn't mention that exactly. You used this comment for saying that which one is ChatGPT, which one is not ChatGPT.
Yeah, I already answered B is the ChatGPT. It's above if you scroll it down.
Okay. The thing is, please, as you see, everybody's comment over there, it didn't need any deviation from the overall path of the class. Till this moment, I have used all the examples, all the samples, everything towards the goal. For every single minute, guys, just to let you know, you have seen that I uploaded things for something for 2:40 something a.m. in the morning. Can you imagine that? I watched all those videos for the 10th or 12th times to make sure that I use precisely your time, and just watch this 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It doesn't come from nowhere. I have planned for every single minute of the class. So please be very much aligned with the things that with the approach that you have. And there's one thing, when Michael talks about the experience that he had in coding, you cannot Google those things. You cannot ChatGPT those experiences. When, on the other hand, Toby talks about their experience in coding and they have some different opinions, these are the things that are valuable. It's like 10 years of coding, 20 years of coding are behind them. So if I were in your shoes, I paid very much attention, not to Reza, but to your classmates. And thank you very much, Goma. Sean, can you please tell me one thing? What are the differences between input and input, the left side and the right side? Just for instance, I'm going to tell one of them. I understood whenever you want to talk to computer, you have to mention semicolon at the end, right? For C#. If you don't have that, it doesn't understand that. Okay, it's like you have seen those action movies like Top Gun. They say that I see the enemy's airplane, Roger. So Roger, kind of like done at the end, semicolon. That semicolon for C#, it's like Roger, that you say, I'm done with that line of code. But I couldn't understand, and Michael was kind to share the, what do we call it, the W3 schools, data types, talking about double. Can you please elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so it's to signify a variable, and the double means like a decimal number.
Okay, I want you to think of, and don't ask ChatGPT, you yourself have an analogy. You want, Joseph, you want to tell your little brother about programming, and you want to say, why sometimes I use double, why sometimes I use float. One example from restaurants, one example from when you go to Tim Horton, one example could be coffee shop or anything. Give one example talking about the size of the types that you use and the reason that you use different types for such cases.
So from what I understood between float and double is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, a float indicates that there will be a decimal implemented, so we'll have like 0.12 or whatever, versus double, it's indicating that it has a decimal component, right? But that number could be also 0. So just overall conclusion wise, it changes that into a number.
So how about this? Thank you very much, Joseph. I started learning something. How about saying data types C# EE3 schools? Would you please try that, everybody? Goma is one of the most serious people. Awesome, Goma. Who else? Alex, bravo. Let's just see an example here, if you don't mind. Everybody, please pay attention to this. Thank you, Shad. Here I say my num is equal to 5. Did I say 5 point something? Klena, can you please tell me, I'm gonna write in here. Is 5, is it equal to say 5.0? Are these two are equal? Yes or no?
Yes.
Joseph says yes. And the real answer is I don't know. I want you
Is it
to...
in code mode or is it like in number mode? Because in code, I see how it can differentiate.
Okay. I have no clue. Somebody told me the answer is 5. Somebody told me the answer is 5.0. In math, I know that they are equal, right? But we are talking about computer programming. Are they equal?
Computer, no.
Why not?
Because the 0.0 holds a value.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's look at this one together, everybody. Klena, look at this one. Here I say int my num 5. Imagine that I say double, my double num is 5.0 as well, and I say D, which stands for double at the end. Does that make sense? I'm not saying, imagine that I say 500D, that kind of thing. Look at this one, everybody. Please look at this one. The integer that I said has what? Has 4 bytes, while when I say double, it has 8 bytes. Means that, imagine that you want to get some fruits like apple or orange, and you pick a small plate. But when you want to serve yourself spaghetti, you're gonna get a bigger plate. Does that make sense? So here, when we are talking about the left side, integer 5, and when we are talking about the double, there are totally two different containers. The size of them are not equal. Could I tell you what are the differences between these two? Yes or no?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Sorry?
Could you repeat what you said? I think you got cut out for me a little bit there.
Sure. Imagine that you want to have a small plate to pick some fruits, like apple, orange. It's going to be a small plate, right? But you're going to have a bigger dish, the bigger plate for spaghetti when you want to serve yourself spaghetti. That's the size of the plate that matters for different purposes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, look at here now. The data type, when it is integer, you have 4 bytes. And I don't know what byte is. Imagine that this is kilogram, centimeter, inches, or whatever. And double, we're going to talk about them later. We have double, which is double that size. It is 8 bytes. So can we relate to that? The other thing is why one of them is float, and look at the character, it is 2 bytes. And Boolean, it's 1 byte. But here it is 4 byte and here it is 4 byte. Are they the same type? Okay. This is the place that I wanted you to think of an example. If you go to a restaurant, are you going to order your rice to be filled in the cup of coffee?
No.
The container should be appropriate for your order. Does that make sense? For that one, you're gonna order plate. Are you going to receive your Coke on a plate? No, it's gonna be in a cup. Does that make sense? So that is why the container, look at this example. If it is D, if it is character, it should be into a car variable. If it is true and false, which is going to be 0 or 1, it should be in what? In Boolean type. If it is something that has precision decimal point, it should be in a cup or in a container that has that capacity, double. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
So everybody could relate to that? Awesome. So let's go to the next part together. And I want this time, I want a volunteer. Whoever wants to step in and start explaining, please type 1. If you like to say how we convert prompt for current weekly pay to this one. Anybody wants to step in, please type 1. Okay, Alex, please go ahead.
So for the algorithm, you just wrote what you're trying to achieve. So you're trying to get a prompt for current weekly pay. So you tell the program to ask for an input or to show the message, what you want from the person using the program. So you're telling the program to write enter current pay for the user. So the user sees enter current pay and he will enter what needs to be done. Yeah.
Excellent. Lovely. Flawless, Alex. The problem of Reza is I'm an old guy. I need 2 explanation. Another person who can explain it once again to me, so I might understand finally. Any other volunteer? Okay, Evan, can you please? We have volunteer and we have voluntold. So Evan, can you please step in?
Yes, hello.
Hi there.
Console write is just the universal command to put out a prompt asking the user to put some in, and you just put in the whatever you want the algorithm to ask the user.
Excellent. So is there any calculations happened till this moment? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay. It is just going to display, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. 2 people have this question. Why we wrote console.write, then at the end we wrote console.write line. Anyone has any answer for that?
Okay, so write is going to spit out. So let's say for our first console right there under algorithm, enter the current pay. When you do write, it'll just spit out that single line. Write line adds like a line return, like a new line at the end of the line. So it'll move down below for the next line.
That is the problem of having class of pros. I can't understand that. Everybody's expert. So, Michael, can you break it down for this lazy guy?
Okay, so in a string, like write, we'll say in this case is a string of characters, right? We all know that that's the stuff between the double quotes. And then write line is essentially adding a \n into the string, indicating that we want a new line at this point. Any text that comes directly after that \n or a new line will be put into a new line below the last line. So all the text prior to the \n.
Lovely. So I'm started getting it, but not 100% sure. So Goma, how about this? Let's use let's just say, I'm sorry. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. And this is 4. And if I just write that all of them are right line, so I can understand what is happening there. Is it so far clear when we say right line, it's going to write that line and breaks it at the end and goes, that's what I learned from Michael, if I'm not mistaken. But what if I, instead of the first line, I say right? That was the question, right, comma? Okay, now I just changed that right and see what is going to happen. Uh-oh. It is going to write that line all the way to the end, and then it's not going to break it to the next line, and it's going to continue the next right. Do you see the difference? Awesome. And something that was very new to me, they said it is like having \n at the end of the line. So let's just try that. Wow. So no matter if you say right and use \n at the end or say right line, it is going to break the line at the end. If the \n is at the end, \n is at the end. Does that make sense? So whenever we see right line means write whatever I have, then after you finish, go to the next line. And \n is go to the next line. What does it mean? Is it clear as well, Goma? Okay, or clear? Because I see not 100%, not 100%. Okay, look at this one. Do you see that number 2? I use \n there, and I'm gonna run the code again. And look there. Exactly before number 2, I said \n means write everything hello world space, but before number 2, break the line, go here. It's like similar to say. It is exactly similar to say. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's correct. That kind of thing. Right? And don't worry. Now, the practice for all of us is, guys, please try to use right line, 2 right lines. Use it to write your beautiful name in one, your beautiful last name in the second line. Please, everybody do use right line. And do you remember that we had an optional practice last week? That's for this one. Then why are we writing the 2 prompts in the previous example? Do we not write console right line? Won't both prompts appear on the same line? I'm going to answer that, Maria. Do you remember that I said we are going to have one practice together, problem statement, algorithm, and we answered it there. So excellent. Okay, I'm gonna the same time try. Kind of lazy version is Reza's version, just first name, and just last name. And if I run that, it's going to show in 2 separate lines. Everybody got that? And beautifully, Alex used complete version. My first name is Alex. My last name is Couture, right?
Yeah. I forgot the semicolon, but yeah.
Don't worry, I always forget as well. Thank goodness it gives error, then I realize that, okay, something is missing. I'm gonna fix it. Okay, console right line, my first. Oh boy, Joseph, you brought it to another level. Okay, so guys, the challenge now is please write, I don't know, that's my problem. I don't know how. Use one line. Use one line and make it to show exactly like this. Oh boy, how can I do that? And don't look at the answers.
So you wanted first name, last name in the same line?
Exactly. First name, last name in the... Mohammed, thank you. Hujam, merci. Who else? Guys, if I run that, look, it's not going to show like this. It's going to be one line. I want you to make it the way that it shows. It shows in 2 lines. Can you modify this code and make it to display in 2 lines? And that was a question. Excellent. I received 1 help. Let's see who's going to find that too. Okay, one of our team members said, Reza, if you say /n there, it's going to break it to 2 lines, the way that it was before, right? Okay. Let's say int, which is not correct, int salary equal to 300. Okay. And warning, it says that, hey, you didn't use that. Okay, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it saying console write line, what? Lazy Reza. Salary. Okay, if I say, guys, if I say write, and I have forgotten to have 1 space here. Guys, I revealed my salary as well. So how about that? How about that? Can you please, everybody, try that, but use 1 line of code and have everything together. That's quite it. And please, those who can answer it, send it to private message.
I didn't mean to send it right away. I'm pressing enter S to go down the line and it just sends it by accident.
Just fix my code, please. I have a deadline and I have work to do. So please, you're gonna receive lots of comments from now on like that. Can you give me your code? I have work to do. And the answer is simply no. Everybody has work. Excellent, Eskim. Excellent, Sean. Merci. Okay, to the interest of time, because we have lots of things that we need to cover together, let me just tell you quickly here. Guys, you're going to use curly braces, mustache brackets, and say sal there. And then you're gonna use $sign before that, before the double quotes. I always make that mistake when it doesn't give me answer. Then I'm gonna just change it to B for the double quotes. And if you run that, look at the things that is gonna happen. Oh, where is the, I'm sorry, I have forgotten to take this one out. Okay, so look, whenever you have a variable, if you might say, Reza, why computer cannot understand this? Okay, I'm going to take this one out and say sal. And if I just say run this, right? It is going to say Reza debug gets sal. This poor guy cannot understand that this is a variable. Why? Because the default of writing is writing letters, writing characters. Is it clear, everybody? I repeat it. The default to write, Goma, the default to write things on the monitor is what? Is characters. It could be alphabets, it could be numbers, it could be anything. But the default is generally characters, strings. Huh? If you say sal like that, still it cannot understand that you are referring to, look at this one, it's going to show it like this. You want to say, hey, if you see curly braces, understand that I have a variable which is not text, but convert it to text for me and make it part of the output. I repeat it. I want to add something which by nature it is not characters like the others. It's not a string like the others. I want to just fit it inside the string. For doing that, I place that variable, whatever the type is, inside curly braces. And I need to say, hey, when you see curly braces, please note this is variable. I use $sign for that. You have all the right to say, Reza, you lost me. That was the intention of just getting familiar, not being the master of that. Everybody, please run something similar to this into this online compiler. I'm going to share the online compiler. And a special thanks to everybody who sent me their answers. Make them in one line, Pooja. Here is the online compiler. Everyone, could you make it the way that I did it on the screen? Let me just quickly go. Maria, I remember your question. We are gonna get to that question soon. But could you understand this? Kevin, bravo. Ali, Farhina, Adewale, Evan, I know that you know. Mohammed Alvani, Toby. We are going to answer that question. Don't worry. Okay.
I'm getting an error when I'm trying to run the code.
Can you send me your code? Just this part, just between these two curly braces. Okay, I'm going to Control C. Guys, I'm going to replace that and let's see who can find the problem. And actually there is no problem. It works for me.
But Reza, is that what you consider as writing it in one line? No, right? You have to put int Sal within that same line.
Don't
Oh,
worry, no. The right part should be in one line.
oh, okay.
That is super professional if you do everything, but it's not that much readable. I prefer to have it like this. Okay. End of file. Please double check if you have two curly braces.
Oh, no.
Okay. Awesome. So please give me a signal if you could solve the issue. Everybody, let's get back to lovely. Hassan, thank you. We got that part, and now we are getting closer to Mary's question. Maria, if I'm not mistaken, where is the name? Maria Mohammed, yeah. So everybody, why here we have right and we don't say right line?
So it goes into a separate line? Or in the same line, sorry.
Still, I don't know. Guys, we are going to have the answer pretty soon, and I want you to feel the problem statement, and then we all get the answer. If I just right away, I say, this is the reason, easy come, easy go. Maria, can you explain this code now, the algorithm part, please?
So the first line is for prompting the user to write the current pay. And then the algorithm takes that current pay and it makes it into an integer. I believe that's what the convert to double is. And then the user is prompted to enter the increase rate. And then the algorithm converts that increase rate to an integer, or is double for the decimal?
Double is for decimal when we
Decimal,
have
okay.
decimal.
So yeah.
No worries. I'm learning as well. Okay, so the first line, as Maria said, is just prompting. One question, Maria, when you say enter the current pay, which one is nicer, which one is cleaner to say enter the current pay and receive the value right in front of that sentence, or go to the next line and say what is the current pay? Which one do you prefer?
Sorry, my Zoom just crashed. What were you asking?
The question is, imagine that you want to write a program. Do you prefer to say in line 1, enter the current pay and get the value just in front of the sentence, get the current pay in front of it, or you want to go to the next line and get the pay? Which one is nicer, neater, in your opinion?
I would prefer it in a different line so that I can tell the difference between what was prompted and what the answer was given.
We are going to see that. I personally like to say, please enter your name, and I just enter my name in front of the question, not in the next line. That is my preference. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this is correct, this is not correct. The guy who wrote this wanted to write, enter the current pay and get the value in front of it. So that is why we use right. If you say right line, it shows that sentence, breaks the line, and then get the value in the next line. Do you see the difference now?
Yeah, I see it.
And then because you said read line, it is like \n kind of things included. For the next, it's going to show enter the increase rate in the next line. Okay,
Right.
I hope that I could answer, but
Yeah.
still, don't worry, we are going to practice that together. So now I want a next brave person who was kind of silent. Viduran. Do you have access to mic? If not, don't worry. Klena.
Yes.
Okay. Honestly, let me confess, I didn't understand. I just said yes, yes. So can you please explain again from algorithm, the first line, quickly?
So what I think it is that we are just writing the lines, like console write line is just a way of saying, like giving the information so the computer can process it.
And print.
And then enter the current pay is what we're looking for. That's in order to find the increase.
Okay, Klena, correct me if I'm saying nonsense. When I say console.write line, and I say enter the current pay, this is just, have you ever seen, guys, have you ever seen those kind of labelers that print nice labels for you? You can just put it on the different things, labelers. I very much like them. So imagine that you have one of those labelers and you say, okay, print, enter the current pay, and you stick it on the monitor. Does that make sense? Okay, so saying console.write line is just going to print that label on the monitor. Whenever we say write line, there is no process, nothing, just showing one sentence. Those who could relate to this, please type 1. Okay, I just started learning. Klena, can you please go to the next line and teach me what the, just go to this part for now.
So that part, read line is processing the line instead of printing the line.
What is this?
That's our keyboard.
Lovely. So whenever we say read line, means read the line from the keyboard. Still, we don't have any process. We just get it from the user, right? Everybody, whenever we say console.readline, we are going to receive things from the keyboard, right? And what is the default things that we get from the keyboard? Please type your answer. What is the default things that we expect to receive from keyboard? Is it integer, any character? Oh, when we say any character, it's like Michael said. String is like any character. Input is a general word. What kind of input? Any character. Alpha, numeric things, strings. In general, in a broader view, when we say string and integer, the string includes integer. Okay, awesome. So computer expect to receive any character. Klena, why do we need that?
Why do we need to ask the computer?
Why do we need to say, I highlight that part? Why do we need to say convert that to double?
Because we have to emphasize it. so the computer can print it accordingly.
Okay, listen to this part, everybody. We get something from the user. Everyone is happy with that? We get something by saying console.readline. We get it from the keyboard. And we want to say, hey, this is that you get is not any string. It is a number and not any number. It is double because salary could be 300.01. Does that make sense? So whatever you get from the user, computer doesn't understand. It says that for me, the default is a string, whatever you enter. And then I'm going to say, hey, convert it to string so I can start calculating that. Does that make sense, everyone? And then place that, into a cup. That cup is current weekly pay. Let me ask you one thing. Maria, I think that is your question. Reza, what if a person enters anything but numbers, like 20 letters instead of 20 numbers? What should we do? For this stage, we think that a person is gonna behave nicely and enters digits, not any other characters, right? Does that make sense? We think that a person who enters the number is gonna enter numbers, not characters. So it is possible for a computer to say, okay, 200, it is 200. I understand. Guys, did you get it? For computer, when you type 200, it is a string 200. It is not 200. You have to say, convert that string into 200 numbers, double or whatever. If you could relate to that part, give me another high five. Type 5. Okay, so Kalena, how about this line? And I think this is very similar to this. Can you please explain that to me?
Since it says like console write line, enter the increase, it's almost the same thing as the first one. So it's just printing.
Lovely, excellent. And how about this one?
We would be, since it like that's the thing. The current weekly pay, the second line, has a different starting line as the fourth line. But the
Oh,
rest
don't worry,
is the
don't
same.
worry about that. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna explain that, but let's just explain that
But
highlight.
the rest is the same, right?
Like, can
It
you
would
please
be-
explain that one?
It would be just doing what the second line is doing, but instead with the enter the current pay is with the enter the increase.
Okay, again, can you please tell what is console.readline?
Just putting it's just using the keyboard. Yeah, exactly. Is we're gonna write.
It receives values from keyboard.
Receives values from the keyboard, so it's what
Yes.
we're from the
Exactly.
keyboard.
And what is this part is responsible for?
I mean, it's gonna double.
Means that, hey, the string that you have entered, for instance, the rate 0.3 is not a string. It is a double increase rate, that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And let me ask you one thing. Imagine that you go to a coffee shop, Starbucks, with your friend. Imagine that you go to Starbucks with Sarah, your friend. You're gonna say, my name is Klena, and they're gonna write it on the cup. And your friend said, okay, my name is Sarah as well. Does that make sense?
No, because as well as just saying it's the same thing.
Hey, you want to drink, are you that thirsty that you want to drink your friend's coffee as well?
No.
So let her just have their own cup. So they're
Exactly.
going to Michael, don't. So they are going to have their own COP written on their names on it, and you're going to write your own name on it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So console.readline is basically telling the computer. I thought that Michael wanted to say that both are going to get the same COP. So exactly, we have two different COPs, two different names, and you're going to pour, for instance, your favorite is Americano, your friend's is, I don't know, latte, espresso. So two different things. That is why we have two different variables, two different cups. In the first one, you're gonna put the salary. In the second one, you're gonna get what? The raise amount, 2 cups, two different variables. I think now it is clearer, right?
Very clear.
Awesome. So now you are going to mix those two. You say that, okay, you know what? Americano, please, espresso. Let's just put them together, mix them in whatever format that you like. Here, multiplication, and place them into another cup. And that cup name is pay increase. Guys, here, imagine that we entered 1,000. Please help me. My math is not that great. Here it is 1,000. The increment rate is 5%. So what is going to be 5? We have 5%. I multiply 1,000 and 5%. What is going to be the increment amount? Can you please type it? Joseph, I'm going to get to your question, Joseph, as well. 50. Everybody could understand why we have 50 in pay increase. Yes. Okay. And now I'm going to say the current pay, which is 1,000 plus 50, which is the increase, it's going to make 1,050. Yay. We have increments. So in new weekly pay, we have 1050, and we are going to print it that way. Klena, is it 110% clear?
Yep.
Excellent. Lovely. Joseph, please go ahead. Your question.
So for just right above the algorithms, when we did processing output and input on the top, and you wrote it as double, is it necessary to do that step beforehand, even though in the algorithm we're telling the system current weekly pay, I want it to be converted into a integer or a number?
That's a great question. Okay. It's a kind of programming practice. Michael, I want again your wise opinion. What do you prefer to have? Joseph's question is it necessary to have the list of variables on top? Yes or no?
Yeah, because basically if they don't exist, then you can't use them. So what you're doing here is you're basically bringing them into existence. You want to make sure that they're there and they're real before you start trying to use them in your code. So that's the best way.
Excellent. Can I
question?
my question? Yeah.
Sorry.
Please.
But what I'm trying to get to is that, like, even if you go to the algorithm line 2, it says convert it to double, right? In my point of view, it feels like it's approaching the same thing, right? You're telling it to change it into,
Okay,
right?
so I'll explain that real easy. So you're converting to double. You're questioning why are we converting a double to a double? Because we don't have a double yet. Console read line gives you the string from the keyboard, right? Now we can't do math with words, right? So what we do is we convert that string, which is we put in a number, but it's string format. Convert to double turns it into a form the computer can understand as, well, in this case, a double. So an actual number. And then the your number variable has a value. So yeah.
Okay.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And another question that could happen here is, is it possible to have variables definition in the middle of the code as well? Michael, what is your opinion about that?
So you mean like a var or a let? Like
No.
reassigning the value or?
For instance, I started using pay increase here. So instead of there, I could just copy this here. I just define it right before using it instead of having them all on top. Do you prefer having them all on top or in the middle of the program as well?
I mean, in that case, it kind of depends. If the variable is only contextual to that inner function, then you don't need to predefine it out here unless it's going to get reassigned later or whatever. I think in that case, it's more of a use case thing.
Okay, lovely. Thank you for your answer, Michael. As always, I learned. How about Kevin? Can you please elaborate on that if you are in the session?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if like you said, it's contextual if the variable's there, but it's better practice to define it before you begin to use it, because there are use cases where, yes, you can define it locally, but if you ever use it again, it becomes a completely new variable and refills it. So, sorry, let me start from the beginning here. So let's use the cup analogy. So you get the cup once, you fill it. If you use that variable anywhere else, again, it's going to refill the cup. It's no longer it's going to delete what you put in and refill it with something new. If you define it, it starts at the top, and every instance you use it, it just keeps adding to the cup. And you can also have an error thrown if you decide to use that variable again in any other context.
Excellent.
So, yeah. Sorry if I'm not as clear as I could.
No. Absolutely fine. I want to tell something. Do you remember at the beginning, Michael was kind to explain that the signature of writing code, it's exactly like a style. And as Kevin said, we have good practice and not good practice. So the best, I think, is always to put all the variables on top if you're writing something. So easily when you see the code, you can see, these are the variables that I'm going to use later. Let me give you one sample. It's like you have a ceremony. You're going to define how many guests you might have, and you're going to place all the plates ready before you start serving them. That's one approach. The other approach is to say, hey, John, another guest, please go and grab another plate. This is not that much clean, right? In front of all the guests, say, hey, bring another plate. No, you should just predict and have them in advance ready. Always remember that analogy. So the best practice would be using them. And if you don't, defining them on top, if you do not use them, you're going to receive warning that, hey, you have defined one variable, but you haven't used it. Okay, everybody, if you go to the next, this is the code, and you can just simply drag and drop. One of the problems when you drag and drop the code, I'm going to get it from this one. Yes, Control C. And I'm gonna bring, where is the online compiler? Here it is. You see, most of the time, if you want to copy, well, sometimes you're gonna receive a little bit of problem here and there. Everyone, please just copy that input between main from here all the way to here. If anyone got any trouble, I'm going to send the code. Here is the code. And the online compiler is this one. So let me just do it again. I'm going to go to an online compiler. Instead of hello world, everybody, if you can see that, everybody, instead of hello world, just replace this and then run the code. So it says that enter the current pay, I'm gonna say 1,000. And the increment is gonna be 5%. Uh-oh, the increase is 6. Something is not working fine. Can anybody find what was my mistake?
I
Because
think the percentage. I think.
lovely. I didn't get what was my mistake. Please solve this. You have the code. Sean, you revealed it for everybody. Lovely, thank you. Okay, great. So 1,000, good job. And then I'm gonna say 0.05, which is 5%. Otherwise, it's gonna be 500 times. Okay, so now we have the code. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, your task is please calculate Justin Trudeau's salary. Remember, he received 300 and the increment was 0.03. Run it again and see what is happening. Excellent. Okay. Everybody, imagine that Reza, me, I'm not very much familiar with this code. Farhina, Maria, excellent. I want to play around and see what is happening. Look, I'm gonna say enter the current pay. Let me just even get rid of those 2 lines. If I just run that, it's going to just say, please enter the current pay. I'm gonna say hello, just to make sure that this is what I have written. Yes, you see that? And I'm going to get that value and convert it into this. And I'm gonna say, you have entered, what is that thingy? Guys, please help me why my code doesn't show the value and shows something. I say 1,000. You have entered. Why it doesn't show 1,000? Maria, can you help me? Please. Maria, do you see these two? What is it wrong with my code? Klena, can you help me if you're done with the code? Okay. So as I received answer from the other friends, this is exactly what you needed to do. And that is $sign to see, for instance, if I say 300 this time, it's going to show what we have there. Lovely. I can see lots of progress among the friends. Awesome, bravo. And this is how we learn together, guys. We practice, and this is a safe zone to make mistake, right? Thank you, Farhina. And I very much like that you made it private message to say that Reza just fixed that. Alex, please.
Sorry, Reza, could you please
Yes.
explain why it didn't work without the $sign before?
Okay. If you don't say $sign is responsible to say whatever you have inside brackets are variables.
Mm-hmm.
Curly braces, sorry, I said brackets. Whatever you have inside curly braces are the variables that you have defined and added values before. They are variables, they are not just strings. Okay?
Yeah.
Let me give you this example and always remember, guys, whenever you say right or right line, everybody, please Pay attention to this example. Whenever you say right or right line, the guy expects to receive only strings. Does that make sense? I repeat it again. Right, yes, Michael, I know that you might say that, Reza, what if I just say right line, only passing integer? No, imagine that we have the default. It's going to convert it automatically, overloading. Forget about that part. I say it again. Whenever you use right or right line, the default to show is what? Please, can you help me?
String.
Lovely, string. Does that make sense, everybody? Always remember, have you ever watched that movie that Brad Pitt played a role for the Turgent, horse? Do you remember that movie, that it was ancient Greek, that they wanted to attack, they couldn't? Troy.
Yeah,
Yes,
Troy.
exactly. The Troy. Do you remember that? It was a kind of castle that nobody could penetrate into that castle because it was very well guarded by everyone. And console.writeLine is like that castle. Nobody except the strings are allowed to get into it. So you want to bring one Trojant horse, right? You want to bring your troops inside something hidden. That is going to be curly braces. So the curly braces is going to be that Trojan horse that you're going to bring numbers, but say, don't say that you are there. You are strings. Okay? So having that $sign is playing that role. Convert numbers as one of the Troy people, and when you got inside, you are going to show your real you. I am 300, for instance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the program recognizes the $sign should be followed by a number and not anything else.
The $sign means that anything that I have inside curly braces, they are variables. They
Right.
could be integers, they could be characters, that could be floats, decimal, anything but a string. Also, you can have strings there too. For instance, you can have my name. Let me just say something here. If I say string, my name, and if I say it is Reza, and there, and I want to say bring my name over there, I can just simply have my name. And let's see what's going to happen there. 100. Okay, you see that you have entered the result. Sorry, that was just example. You got it?
Yeah.
Awesome, bravo. So let's go to the next part together. This is using the same. Have you ever had a chance to install Visual Studio?
No, I didn't install it yet.
Okay, I didn't know how to. Somebody installed it for me. Let's see if it works. Guys, don't worry, this is not the lesson for today. I just want to say, what is the benefit of if it gives me permission to drag and drop? I have everything and poor computer cannot handle it. Okay. And I'm going to have, sorry, Control C, bring it here. And if that happens, I'm going to tell you what could be the solution. Control V, no, it works. Does that make sense, everybody? I use Visual Studio, and I am going to run that exactly the same thing, and it's going to take a few seconds. Here is the output. It says enter the current pay 100 or 1000. The increment is going to be 7%. And then it's going to be this. But I don't like to have them in 2 lines. Okay. This is exactly what we did before. Nothing new. And I don't like to have them in two separate lines, so I'm gonna just get rid of that line and run it again. And let's have space like this and see what's gonna happen. I'm gonna run the code again. Oopsie, sorry. Reza, shame on you. Guys, did you see the benefit of using Visual Studio? It took me forever if I wanted to solve the issue. It was unintentional that happened. So, and let's say 3% this time, 0.03, and you see how it works. Look at this one. What if I mistakenly miss one semicolon somewhere? This guy is going to inform you that, hey, something is not doing right here. So you can easily understand you have missed a semicolon at the end. Does that make sense? So if you use Visual Studio, it is going to help you to work nicer, neater. I'm gonna replace the code, Control V. Okay, Control S. It's gonna be in the next version. We talked about the comments. You're gonna see a comment that you have multiple lines. It means like this, guys. Let's get back to this. Where's the Visual Studio? Okay, here it is. Imagine that I want to say something here. This is the code, sorry, written by Reza in 2025/01/18. So one way could be, which is not the best, is to use like this or using hotkeys for them. But the other way is to say, let's start with and let's end with. So everything that you have between these lines are going to be commented. And the comment means that the compiler is not going to consider as a command. It says that, okay, Reza wanted to have that for his own reason. Sometimes I use to make it nicer, neater, like this. Right? So this is a block of comment. This is going to be an inline comment. And guess what? If I see somebody has done comments like that, this is the signature of ChatGPT. Inline comments like this after the code is just only ChatGPT's job. Anyway, guys, if you think that you got something like 70% or above of the things that we have discussed today till this moment, please type 7.
Just for the record, inline comments are not just ChatGPT.
Okay, tell me, who else used that?
I myself actually do. I'll admit it's not a lot because it's still a lot of cases it's just extra mess, but it does happen.
Okay, Micah, so I realize where ChatGPT has copied from now. Okay, so the thing is, yeah, let's just go to, we technically finished that. Guys, now it is 12:42. Let's have 5-minute water break. And you're gonna continue 12:47. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Reza, what's the chances you're by your keyboard? Okay. Hey, Mr. Sir. Oh, I can show you. So I'm just gonna show you quickly some inline comments.
Oh, let me just give you, I'm sorry, it takes a few seconds to make you co-host. And unshare my screen. So please, yeah.
Which one is this? That's the wait, this one. Yeah. There, you can see this.
Wow.
So,
Beautiful.
so there. Now this doesn't count. This is that's just the stupid JS docs. Here's another spot.
Oh, I see. Lovely.
Oh, see, I'm using that
Yeah.
already. Yeah, over here something weird happened.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Michael, the thing
it
is,
does.
the thing is that is common for pro developers, right? But let me tell you a funny thing. One, well, exactly the same that students talk, the profs talk to each other as well, saying that once one of the profs told me that Reza, a student came in a C# class, submitted the assignment, and I said that you have used ChatGPT and said that no, it was original, it was my job. And I said, hey, the class is C#, you submitted Python code for the project. So
No. Oh yes, I was displaying JavaScript. That was
no,
it is different.
yeah, I know, but I'm saying that for that kind of awareness of not even knowing what is the code, is it C# or Python, and having those kind of comments, it is obvious for such cases that
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah, they just asked it a question and copy paste. They didn't have a clue. Yeah.
yeah, and I exactly wanted to show something to our friends as well. But thank you very much. That is why most of the time when I'm not very ready for the class, I say, okay, you know what? I have Michael there, so I can just, rely on expert people. So yeah, nice. Thank you very much for sharing that. If you don't mind, I'm gonna share back my screen again. So everybody, if you see that screen, that's the last summary. So please read it at your convenience. It's just saying that, hey, having the style for variables and so on, we have already talked about it. And it said that at the beginning, you use those three columns, then you use 2-column IPO, input, process, output. And it says that just type your code directly into the IDE. Honestly, I'm not that kind of, I always have some sketches. It's not like IPO, but I have some plans. So I want to do this. Guys, for every daily routine, I have that, let alone for programming. So that is why this is one of the experts' opinion. My opinion is not 100% aligned with that. I always need to have a kind of mind map to know where to start, where to end. That is why I had a question mark here for you. And apart from it, I use the time, if you please, take a glance, take a look at the Illuminate. If we get to this page, you can see the courses and you can see inside the programming section. I defined something as you see folder number 2 assignments. And if we go there, you see that this is folder 01. That's the first. And if we go inside that, you see here we have assignment 1, and we have alternative, and we have submission folder. Okay, Joseph, I was thinking when I wanted to design that and define that, it's a bit different from what Narendra was kind to define for us. You see here we have lab exercises and it has 2. Actually, I picked only one of them and I slightly changed, and that is this one, IPO chart docs. You see that? So you need just to do one of them. That is one difference. So if somebody spends time, that is awesome. So from now on, except one fact that I'm going to emphasize, and that is, I have already said, all the assignments that we are going to have together would be individual, not a group assignment. And the reason for that is obvious. Before, people needed to have companies right now, if they want to have just answers, they use ChatGPT. But at least I know that who does what, and I can just, trace and understand who needs help in which part. Does that make sense? And it is absolutely fine, and I'm going to define something for you to sit together and define a mini project and try to solve it in a group. That is absolutely fine. And I'm gonna give 1% not only to the person who manages this setting, also to those who participated, maximum group of 5. So 1 team leader and 4 participants. It could be a Zoom session, or you can sit together at Centennial College, having your phone to record, and it should be at least 1 hour. And 1 hour per week, everybody is going to equally receive 1% bonus points. It could be physical over the Zoom. And I had tons of beautiful examples for that. Many examples that I received from people who have done that bonus task. And the reason for that, I want to encourage people to work together on problems to feel that development is not a individual task. But on the assignments, I received tons of complaints when I talk to students. Hey, the other person didn't show up, didn't respond my WhatsApp message, and the list goes on. For me, it is easier, instead of going through 30 submissions and mark them, to just say, hey, here's the group of 5, you have to submit, end up just 1 or 2 is going to submit their job, the rest is gonna just be a freeloaders. I don't want that. It's not in my class. So I prefer to spend more time, go through all the submissions. That is the things. But from now on, you can see that I accept either my definition of assignments, or you, if you like, you can just say, Reza, Narendra defined that, and I prefer Narendra's. Feel free, both works. And in defining that, I was remembering Joseph's comment that, Reza, can I start ahead? So if you want to start ahead and you do, I accept it. The first one is, as you see, is this one. And I borrowed the concept, except just changing a little bit. 10 questions. And I defined something just to say, hey, if you want something smaller, less time, just my humble request, please don't use ChatGPT. Guys, at this stage, it is like poisoning your skills. It's just, don't. That's it. Because, hey, I can dump this and receive this. Dump it into ChatGPT and it gives you the answer. I have it. I don't need that. I want you to just challenge yourself and learn. I can't emphasize more on that. I wanted to have a video recording for all the assignments. Maybe for some of them I keep that, but for at the beginning, I know that you're overloaded with lots of assignments. I don't want to overwhelm you. But once in a while, I'm going to ask you to record your code and upload it to YouTube to tell me what you have done, explain it, just to let me know you got what it meant to learn. And the submission folder is this. You can either choose assignment 1 or alternative. Is it super clear for everybody? If yes, and there is no question, please type 1 again.
So just a quick question, Professor. So first assignment is individual, right?
All of the assignments. I mentioned all the assignments will be individual.
Okay, perfect.
AI is Michael, we had good era. We could just, define projects. Now we should find the ways to tackle the AIs. Yeah. We have to submit video with this. No video for this one. Thanks for asking. Will you be placing us in groups? Not for this. If you want to, Maria, if you want to participate in that bonus, and I'm not gonna explain, I'm not going to make any comments or announcements elsewhere. This is just for those people who actively participated in the class and they heard from me. There should be a difference from those people that they just either watch the recorded. If they do, I would be grateful if they do, or just log in and they don't pay attention. So this 1% every weekly things is going to be for those who are kind to participate and do the things. Will you be grouping us? You can just pick your own group. We will be using Visual Studio, right? For the first few sessions, intentionally, I use both to tell you that there's no difference. Nothing should pause you from learning. You can just rely on online compilers, or you can just simply, you see like this, where is the online compiler? Anyway, if you just simply type online C# compiler, it's going to, no, online C#. Online C# compiler. This guy with the power sign is my favorite. You can just pick anyone. Where is the one that you said? Oh, you're talking about the thingy, the Copilot? Yeah. Michael, can you please explain? I missed one.
With the AI power that I was talking about? What were you saying?
No,
Sorry.
I wanted to say that if, for instance, it's not necessary at the beginning that you install Visual Studio, so you can use either Visual Studio or any online compiler, at the beginning. But the good thing about here is look at the difference between online compiler and here. If I just miss one semicolon, it's gonna start yelling that, hey, Reza, something is not working. While if I'm there and I just get rid of the semicolon, it's not gonna say anything, right? So it is easier. And the other thing that I want to mention is I have provided just one thing that's a funny slide. You might say, Reza, why it's just few, just see, and squeeze this all in one. Oh, this is not for, see. Okay, so if I go there all in one, you see that here I have provided something called Visual Studio installation. People might ask that question, that which version you need us to install. You go to Visual Studio Microsoft and pick Community. Okay, this is free version and it does everything that you need. And look at this one. Let me just go there for
Sorry,
a second. Yes.
You're saying the Visual Studio, but not the Visual Studio Code?
No, Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio. There are two different things.
All right.
Okay.
I just wanted to add to, sorry, I hate to interrupt, but
No,
I mean, I do it all the time. But as far as doing the Visual Studio download, if you do, I think professional, you can get an educational license using your Centennial College email. So if you use your email to sign into Visual Studio, you get the whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So pretty much any Microsoft service, anything, if you use your college email to sign into the service, you get it. Like
nice.
Everything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. I didn't know that Centennial still has that contract with Microsoft. For us, for the sake of this course and for the sake of programming 1, 2, 3, community would be enough, while always, if it is possible to use a premium version, why not using that? So thank you, Michael. So whenever you download any of them, it is gonna start saying that, so I have installed it before. But look, it talks about different things, and there is this one guy, Scott. He teaches .NET Core, ASP.NET Core, and everything, even ML.NET, which is awesome package inside Visual Studio. You can just use them too, and even using Python. Anyway, so if you just YouTube it, you can find the Scott, the gentleman is type Microsoft C#.NET Scott, and you're gonna find this gentleman. He is a pro, and you're gonna learn a lot from him if you want. That's one of the things that I said. The other thing is, now let's get back to what I promised, and I asked you guys, please be patient. We are gonna, did I miss any part? Oh, there we go. I told you that we are going to have, everybody can read this. Okay, so write a C# program that prompts the user to input two integers, add them together. That's a problem statement. And display the result. The program should perform the following tasks. So that is the first, second, so on and so forth. I want you, please, write the code for this one.
So how are we submitting it in the chat?
First, work on it. Whenever you are done, send to my private message. Yes, but Adewale, please do it, send it to my private message. The first person who sends to everyone, then there is no points, right? Step 1. Okay, I received one answer so far. Sean, can you please, thank you for bringing that up. Can you please tell me which one the
In the assignment
fun
one,
one?
the
fun
no,
one?
the first one, 8. I was reading through it and it says
This one?
in the checklist. Yep, yeah, in the checklist there it says at the top.
I'm sorry, yeah.
It says, do you have 3 columns? But then
It
in
should
the
be 2
description
columns.
above that.
Thanks
Okay.
for bringing that. So it should be 2 columns. Thank you for
Gotcha.
merci actually to
Thank you.
fix that. And I'm going to immediately, while our friends are trying to give answer.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. That's a good question. I have no clue. Please just Google, don't use ChatGPT, how to convert the input from read line to integer in C#. Michael, one of the other ways to convert that, ChatGPT always use parse. It doesn't use convert. That's something that I found anyway. So try it. Always ChatGPT use parse instead of convert. The old-fashioned form.
JavaScript still uses parse, like
Sorry?
JSON parse. I said JavaScript still. Are you talking to me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So JavaScript, you still use parse, JSON
Yeah.
parse, right? It's very, yeah. We don't have convert.
Oh, no offense. I received one answer with int.parse. I'm not. That's a coincidence, guys. But this. How should I press Control Z? It's normally the GPT's approach anyway. So how about this? To the interest of time, because I need to go through a few more things, if you don't mind, I'm going to reveal, yeah, the answer. Let's just copy. Oh, I have provided that for myself to accelerate. Okay. Technically, we have just these few lines. Everybody, can you relate to that? I say console.write. Please enter the first number. If I use write line, it's going to be in the next line to receive the, that is not what I wanted. Feel free if you feel that is better kind of decorating the commands and the answers. Let's just go through it and see what is happening. Oops. This one. Okay, so I say 10, the second number 20, and then it's going to show you the result and then finish. Right? Very simple. This is labeler, prints on the screen. This part is going to get the number, get the string actually, which is number. And then we say, hey, convert it to integer. You might say, Reza, what if instead of things, I say Reza, then it's going to give you error. Very simple. We consider that at the moment, there are ways to handle that error, but we are gonna work on it later. But at the moment, we consider that the user is going to enter correct values like this. I'm gonna say this time 5, then 7, and I expect to receive 12 as the summation, which is going to show it like that. So what is the role of that read key kind of thing? I don't know. I'm going to comment it and then run it again. So here, if I bring, for instance, 10, 30 this time, it's going to show the result and this one as well. I wanted not to show this. I wanted to say, hey, nice, neat, have all those things, and then press any key to. So that is the role is it waits till the time that you enter something like 2, 3. It waits, read key. I press something, then it shows that it is done. Does that make sense? Goma? Okay, there is one other thing I didn't get. What does this mean? Guys, I'm not saying this is the best approach. This is just one of the ways. You go to GPT. Michael, thanks to you now, I have lots of things here. So I'm going to say...
Mistral is very nice.
Pardon me?
I was just saying Mistral is very nice, yeah.
Yeah, true. Please explain the following code. And then you're going to just type this, and it is going to tell you. My major reason that I wanted to show you this is the last line, because that is where I saw a little bit of his hesitation, Goma. But what is that? It says that waits for the user to press a key before the console window closes. That's read key. This is useful when running the program in environments where the console closes immediately, for instance, or shows those kind of things. So you give a pause to see the result and then close it. Does that make sense? Okay, by saying that, we are done. Guys, today we talked about 3-column, 2-column solutions for algorithms to, in 2-column, you not only have the problem statement and algorithm, you have the code as well on the other column. In the old-fashioned format of 3-column, you have input, process, and output, and we have tons of examples. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to go to, I was like, if we have time, we are gonna go to this one, slide number 14, to practice. Oh, this is not the one, I'm sorry. To have some extra practices. Just do it at your convenience. Apart from explaining all those, we went together to the course, to the assignment, first assignment, and I explained that. You have options. Narendra is one option always. Option A, which is borrowed from Narendra, and option B, which is a little bit smaller version. What if you have less time to practice? And thank you very much for the whole codes that you sent to me. Julius, Eskim, my apologies if I do not pronounce it correctly. Alex, Joseph, Pooja, Adewale, and everybody who sent me code. I do appreciate it. And if there is any concern, any question about Farhina, thank you. Is there any question, any concern? If not, yes.
Sorry, Professor, just one question. You explained this already. I might be asking this again. I paid attention, but I still did not understand. Can you please explain the dollar sign before writing the sum of the two numbers?
Okay. So just very simple. Take that dollar sign out and run it again.
Yeah, it's not printing. That's true. I saw.
So 1, 2, it's going to say num1, num2. So it doesn't understand that this is a variable, right? Because we define a variable here and we define a variable here. If you want to say, hey, use the content of this variable, they are not num01 string, they are variables. You simply just say dollar sign here. So this going to change the color. It shows that, do you see that the colors are the same now? Do you see that the color is pale blue? Here it is pale blue. Yes or no? Do you see the?
Yes, 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 yes.
So it shows that it understood that this is the same variable. This is the same variable. If you take this out, it's going to be a kind of brownish color, isn't it?
Yes, it
So
is.
brown is what? Is a string. So it doesn't understand that this guy is variable num1, this guy is not variable num2. Does that make sense now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Any other question apart from this?
Reza, just to confirm, so when we're submitting the assignments, it's not a screenshot. You want it to download into an actual file and just put it into the.
Okay, first I received one comment and I want you to just help our friends to solve that. And I'm gonna talk about that too, if you don't mind. What are the problems in here, guys? Can you help me? One of the friends said that this is my code, it doesn't work. What is the first thing?
Console needs to be capital C.
I think converts to integer.
Semicolons are missing.
I don't see any missing semicolon, but here, yes, here we have one semicolon here.
Yeah.
But the other one is C and capital C. Do you see that the good thing about this environment is you can simply find out the problems to int what? 32 it should be, but int also I. Yeah. And here, okay, and here console, and here console, and this, how much time it took for us, the whole class, to solve it? 1 minute. For the first time, when you write this code, it's going to take 2 hours. But there isn't any shortcut between that 2 hours, and you need to spend that 2 hours feeling that it is frustrating, you cannot breathe, those kind of things happen, then you become little by little developer. So it's not going to happen in one night, one day. Okay, so everything is clear for this one. Any other question?
It's okay to use Google if you don't understand something, right? Specifically.
Yes, definitely use Google. I received one question from Joseph. Joseph, let me show you one thing. That is one of the best submissions that one of the students, she was very much precise in. Okay, this is how she just created the thing. So it was like 2 columns We had the IPO, the input output process algorithm. And then we had the statements, and she was kind to take a screenshot. So what I'm gonna do, guys, let's just have this as a sample.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a screenshot.
And you're okay with all of the questions to be exactly the same format as this? Nothing to be changed or anything like that?
I'm not saying, what was the reason that among all the possible students that I had,
Mm-hmm.
I just chosen this because it was like awesome, right? So I'm going to, let's say, sample for assignment one's solution, that kind of thing. And right away, I'm going to upload this one for you guys. My apologies that I kept you, but I want to make sure that nobody has any concern, any question, everything is. And here, right after, I'm sorry, this is invisible for people. And we have one solution for assignments. So now, is it clearer? If everything is clear, the last high five, and I'm going to ask just 5 minutes of your precious time for those who want to participate. Last high five, if everything is super clear. Answered this before, sorry. And do we have to submit explaining video for this assignment? That's a very nice thing. FAQ for assignment 01. Okay, is it clear? Did I answer your concern?
Yep.
Okay. So thank you very much. I'm gonna stop recording here. Thank you for attending, and those who watch, thanks for watching the recorded session. Stop recording. Those who like to just step in, guys, I want